On this episode of Mad Ginger Customs, we're going to take this 1950 Ford shoebox and we're going to make her stop. Master cylinder, wheel cylinders, shoes, all new brake lines. So let's go! Alright guys, we're back on the shoebox today. So what we're going to try to get done today is brakes. Okay, the car, well, did run, did move under its own power. Transmission did shift, clutch works, no brakes at all, okay, nothing. So, to be expected, this thing sat for 50 years. So, let me show you real quick what we purchased for the car, and then we'll get into getting it repaired. And, you know, I'm not going to show you the boring stuff. We'll show you one drum, and then we'll blast through the rest of it. All right, so here we go. So right up front, this is what I got so far. So we got this is a master cylinder kit from Shoebox Central, and I opted for the additional banjo bolt and the Y block because everything in this car is rotted. It did come with a pressure switch. I purchased another pressure switch anyway because I wasn't sure that came with it. Or I had purchased it at an earlier time. The other things I bought, Shoebox Central actually sells a kit, and it comes with the shoes, the master cylinder, I think the wheel cylinders, hoses, and it comes with springs, and it ends up being like, I don't know, like $350 shipped. So I'm still waiting on 2 brake hoses, but I paid, I think, 118 bucks for the master cylinder with the Y kit, and the rest of the stuff I actually found on Amazon, and the wheel cylinders were like, I don't know, cheap. 5, 6, 8 bucks a piece, 9 bucks. Shoes were cheap. Just a standard roll of tubing. I'm making brake lines, guys. I mean, you should know by now if you watch this channel, we're gonna make everything we can, so we're gonna save all the money we can. The brake hoses were pretty cheap. This one I have is only for the rear, the drop down for the rear. I'm still waiting on the 2 for the front, but by the time I'm done with this video, I'll have them and it'll be fairly seamless for you guys. So right off the bat, I think the first thing we're gonna do, master cylinder, right? I tried to light this up so you guys could see it. I got a ring light in here. So I tried to take the cap off, snapped it right off, didn't come off. So I sprayed this stuff down, and so the clutch rod goes through the frame, through the master, and pivots, and this is what gives you the clutch movement, see? That clutch spring needs to be replaced, something severe. So also, we do have, brake pedal. This all has to come out. And we're going to have to disconnect the clutch pedal linkage on this side, pull this through. I'm not really sure how this comes apart, so we're going to we'll knock it out together. And this is the Y block back here. So, I know it's kind of hard to see in there, but both brake lines come in, one for the rear, one for the front. I could get a kit that give me a dual reservoir. I think they even make a power one. I'm not really sure. But I'm not sure how we're going to build this car yet, right? We talked about budget, super budget, little rat rod thing. I think we're sticking with that. It's obviously not a restoration. I've said it 1,000 times. So ultimately, is it safer to have a dual master cylinder? Absolutely. That's why they were mandated. So everything from 67 on has one. But if everything's new, it should do the job. Let's try to get that thing out, because I think this is going to be the most difficult part. Obviously, I've obviously done wheel cylinders and brake lines forever, so that's, and that stuff's going to be boring for you guys. So we'll probably just give you the highlights of that, or the low lights when, you take something apart and it snaps off in your hand, and you're like, well, now I got to stop the video. Oh, look at this. Here, look here. See this right here? Look at this. This is the brake line. Watch this. Look at this. This is what is in this car. This is how long this car sat. Like this, that's bad. So we're gonna replace it all because I can't put Mad Ginger Jess in a car that's not gonna stop. I've driven trash cans my whole life. It's different if I'm driving it than it is if my wife's driving it, or God forbid we put our kids in it, you know? So let's get at it. All right, guys, we're gonna start with the hardest part, right? Hardest part is this master cylinder. This is a terrible design, okay? So we gotta push this rod that goes through the master cylinder, through the frame this way, because it goes through the frame, through the master, and then this is actually the pivot linkage for the clutch, okay? First thing we're gonna do is take this bolt out that goes through this clutch linkage. We're gonna try to get this clutch linkage off. And then we're gonna take this bolt over here on the transmission linkage. And we're gonna take the actual, this is the, wow, that's so much rot. What is this? Wait, what is that? I don't know. You know, I swept underneath this car before I did any of this. And every time you slam the door, like everything falls out in your face. This is definitely gonna be a glasses type of thing. So anyway, this is the rod over here that disengages the clutch. So that linkage will come with this. So the first thing we have to do is here. Okay. This is smoking currently. So we know how hot that is. So we're not going to touch that end of it. Watch this just pop right off. Yeah, right. Oh yeah. Get it. Something went flying. I don't know what it was. What is that? Oh, it ripped off a piece of the brake line. Well, big surprise there. Anywho, so this has a little washer. I'm not sure if that's a thrust washer or not. Alright, we're going to clean this up good so when we go through we don't have any debris holding us, you know, from getting all the way through this frame. It sucks when you get it, start knocking this thing halfway in, and then you got dirt on it, and you get hung up. And then you're like, wow, you know, I could have taken 5 seconds extra. And I'm out of cruel oil, and you guys know how I love that, so I'm using this stuff. Maxim multi-purpose penetrant lube. Got this at the Suzuki dealer. I don't know if it's any good, but we're trying it. Wow, that came right off. All right. I can tell the big struggle today is going to be my back from being bent over like this. This is something. So once you pull this away, this link bar should fall down and out of the way. Now this is a spacer. We're going to pull that right out. Oh, multiple items. All right, just for video's sake, this is on the inside. So I can go back to the video after the fact so I can remember how to put things back together. I'm actually pretty good about that. So this is the link bar. It looks like a star nut fell off of there, so I'm assuming that was for this end here. So now, at this point, what we want to do is get this link bar through the frame. Yep. The problem's going to be in between here. Oh, I might be able to push this right out. It is moving. All right, that's not such a bad thing right there. Nylon head hammer. Don't bang on this stuff that you got to get through cylinders with a steel hammer. You mushroom the end, you'll never get them through. I can honestly tell you that I've learned that over the years a million times from experience when you're like, it'll be fine. I just hit it this one time, and then you're like, nope, you're done forever, and the whole thing's stuck. Wow, this is actually way easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so you can't pull this all the way out because it hits the transmission. And that's okay, because as long as it's out of the frame end, you can drop it down with the master cylinder, right? So what do we got? We got brake switch, which honestly we should just cut these off because they're terrible. Your brake pressure switch is attached to the master. You know, normal car, it's a mechanical switch on the pedal, but these use hydraulic pressure switches. Normally you would just disconnect the lines here and you could leave them, right? But ours are so bad, there's nothing left of them. All right, so what we got here, it looks like a couple, they look like 9/16 to me, and that's retaining this master to this bracket that is, it looks like it's riveted to the frame. And then we're gonna get underneath this once that brake pedal will hang with this master. So let's try to get that out of there. Got her. Oh, we got her. All right, boys. Earthquake, right? Harbor Freight earthquake. How hot are these hogs? Well, I can feel the heat coming off of these. These are hot. Hot pants. Woo! I think the sleeve's rotted out of the frame. Oh, if the sleeve is supposed to be welded in the frame, that's a problem. We might have to take that to the press. Okay, well, it's down. Okay, so we're hanging. All right, guys, so what I did was I just pulled the actual pedals off the clutch and the brake. That way I can get this out and it's a little bit more manageable because it's in your hand. And I mean, while we're going through all this, we'll just scuff them all down. We'll paint them. All right, guys, I got this out of here. This is an eccentric bolt, right? So you can adjust your pedal up and down, right? So this is fine. This will clean up nice. That's all right. The other issue is going to be this, right? So what are our options here? I mean, honestly, I could just blast that back together with a welder. But I'm going to go try. I think I got a bunch of these from kits I bought. I'm going to see if I can find something that fits this eccentric. All right, so what I found here is this. This is from a 64 or 66 F100. So basically all we're gonna have to do is make it that long. We're gonna mark it, we're gonna cut it, and fortunately this fits right over, right? So technically it'll function the same. All right, guys, I literally have you teetering on a can of VP race fuel, so hope you don't fall off. So I don't think anyone that watches this channel needs to learn how to do brakes, right? You don't need to learn how to do drums. But we're gonna blast these apart. We're only gonna do one because they're all the same, and we're gonna go from there. So, weapon of choice: brake spring pliers, specifically made to hook springs, pop them back on here, pop them off. I've seen a lot of guys use vice grips. I've done that before. Sometimes you have to. I don't want to discount that at all, but I've had good luck, not necessarily with disassembly, but with reassembly with these. And they're fairly inexpensive. You can buy these, you know, I think they're 12 bucks, for a set now. They actually used to be more, but I don't think there's a demand for that anymore. So, standard brakes, right? Cylinder pushes out, pushes these out. These pull back in. E-brake pulls this, pushes against. It's got a brake adjuster in the bottom that we are going to spray liberally. So usually what you can do is rotate this in and it pops on. Sometimes you got to give it a little helpy help. And you're going to pop her back. And try not to get it right in the eye, right? Right in the face. Obviously safety glasses would probably be preferred with this, but you know, I've done this before 100 times. You know what they say, you know, if you haven't lost an eye yet, I mean, you're probably going to lose an eye eventually. That's what happens when you're... That's the proper way to use this tool, right? So you walk it up, it walks up into the groove, and then you pull it, right? Like I said, a lot of guys do not like these. I have not had bad luck with them. I quite enjoy them. Now, when you do drum brakes, you guys have heard this 100 times. Only do one side at a time if you're not familiar with how they work. Because this is a very simple setup. When you take things out, put them down on the floor or on a piece of cardboard the way you took them off. That way you can reference it for later. But only take one side at a time. That way you can say, hey, I don't know where this goes, or does this go forward or backward, or blah, blah, blah. Then you go look at the other side. Don't blow both sides apart, and then you get stuck. You're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do now. It's like, all you need to do is one side at a time. There's no sense, there's absolutely no sense in doing both sides at the same time. You know what I mean? See? You get one on the front, one in the back. She's all locked up. So, self-adjuster on the bottom. There is a spring, but usually you can just pop them apart, you know. And if you were doing this and you were just changing the wheel cylinder, all you got to do is pull this apart. You can leave them connected, pop the wheel cylinder out, put everything back together, you know. We are not going to reuse any brake lines. So the honest answer is just break them off. Like, I mean, look, this is how terrible this brake line is. So then we're going to get in there. You're going to crack these things free. These bolts in the back. We're going to pull this wheel cylinder out. We're going to clean. Look how clean these are. This wheel cylinder might not have actually been that bad. Obviously I have new ones. You don't want to take chances with wheel cylinders. So we're going to pop these off. And maybe we'll pop this wheel cylinder apart and see what's in it. We should do that. We should take a look at that wheel cylinder on the inside and just show you kind of what we're working with. That is not going to cooperate at all. I have a friend who calls this weasel piss. Get a little weasel piss in there. Lubricant. Weasel piss. The hell does that mean? You know who you are. This wheel cylinder is a factory Ford wheel cylinder. Got a factory Ford part number on it. Watch this. Usually these things are full of like oxidized aluminum. Look at this. Look at that. That's incredible. Alright, well, that lines up and fits. Let's see where our brake line's on the right side. It is. That's correct. So then basically what you're doing is you're going to reassemble it the same way you took it apart, right? You're going to throw a little grease here and here. And here and here. I took a wire wheel. Now normally we'd really clean this up and we would bring her back to life, but like I said, I'm not doing nothing like that. Jess is inside convalescing. She blew her back out, so she's gimping around. That one's really, she's an athletic lady, so she is not pleased about any of that. And she's going to have to go play softball tomorrow night. Doesn't want to let her team down. She's a team player. She's a team player, that lady. Man, hot ticket, that one. Anyway, can use pretty much any kind of grease, but someone in the comment section is really gonna tell me what I did wrong, which is okay. I love when you guys do that. What the hell did you do that for? Okay, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to ruin your life. So, these are 10 by 1 3/4. Unbeknownst to me, there are several sizes actually. I didn't know that. I looked at the Shoebox Central kit and I was like, well, they sell one kit for everything, so do I need to even measure that? But when you go on Rock Auto, or as Sleeper Dude would say, Wrong Auto, he seems to get a lot of parts from there. They're not correct. I haven't had that experience, so I feel bad for Josh, but oh boy, oh boy. All right, here's what I'm talking about, guys. See this? These are bonded. They're not riveted, which makes them cheaper and not as good in my eyes. But what we also have is, if you look at these, there's a primary and a secondary shoe. Your primary shoe, which has the most material, goes in the back. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that, but that's true. These go like this, right? The rear shoe is always the primary shoe. We want our shoe in there, and we want this like so. Right? Boom. And then we're going to throw our pin back through. We can find the hole. Insert innuendo joke here. Right? And then we gotta put on our clips. Now, a lot of the time I don't put the inner one in. I don't like putting the inner one in, and you don't really need it. But it was there, so we'll use it. So just sanded this drum out a little bit, some sandpaper. She's not perfect. You could go, have these cut on a brake lathe, but we're not doing that. This isn't a road car yet. So basically what has to happen is, you can do this two ways. You can, you roll it out with your finger here, and spreads the shoes, and you want it to go on with resistance. And then you can use a brake spoon from the back, and you want to press them down. So you go top to bottom with a brake spoon or a big flathead. So I got adjusted up pretty far. Let's see what happens here. So when you turn this, you should feel that. You should feel, a little bit of resistance, not a lot, right? And that's basically done. Now, granted, What we should have done is all new components, cleaned the backing plates, sprayed them, you know, cleaned all this up, sprayed it. But like I said, I don't know if we're keeping this rear end, so we're not going to go too crazy with it right now. All right, guys, nothing different on the passenger side. All set. New shoes, new cylinders. All right, guys, next up, we are dealing with brake lines. Each side, I mean, these are literal, there's nothing you're gonna save in this entire car. If you guys have followed along from the beginning to now, you'll know that this car sat for 50 years, right? In a wet tobacco barn, and then it was moved to a field. So nothing salvageable, right? So we're gonna do from cylinder to cylinder. We're doing the master cylinder. We're doing all new brake hoses. So at this point, I'm just gonna match up the brake hose, make sure it's close, and then we're just gonna cut it off. There's no point in fighting with old garbage that you're gonna throw out, right? So we're gonna zip this stuff off of here, and I'm gonna show you how to make some brake lines real quick. I'm sure a lot of you, if you follow this channel, already know how to make a brake line with a double flare. I'll go over one, and then I'll just show you the end. That way we keep this moving, because there's a lot more to do, all right? All right, guys, so here we are. This is the driver's side. So basically, I have affixed the brass block, which is the distribution block, and the hose will go up into the mount. That's not important right now. So what we're gonna do is get a line from here, around, and back in here. I don't know how it was run from the factory, because honestly, the brake lines that came out of here looked like they were modified, like somebody had replaced them, which, I mean, this thing is 100,000 years old. So probably someone did, in fact, replace them. So what we got here is your standard issue Amazonian. It's like a copper coated or nickel coated. They say it's nickel coated, but I don't think that's a nickel coating. So what I do normally is I try to lay it in where I want to go, right? So we want to go down towards the axle, right? Now, okay, let me tell you guys this. I absolutely have a tubing bender. We could do this, but this stuff is so soft, you don't need it. There's no reason to have it like that. There's no reason to be, you know, all crazy about it. Unless you're doing a show car, you know what I mean? If you're doing a show car, I get it. I absolutely understand it. This is not that. This is, you know, Street Rod Mania or whatever the hell we're gonna determine. So for about here, that looks good. Now, when this thing is all cinched down, you obviously don't want them riding here or here. Now you can go down behind the perch. I like to keep everything up out of the way. Guys, you don't have to crush the wheel when you cut tubing. All that does is mushroom the ends out. So, you know, I cut tubing for a long time because I do HVAC work. So just, are you in that big of a hurry? I mean, I'm in a hurry, but I'm not in that big of a hurry. Never pull a knife towards you. You'll end up with a giant scar on the side of your nose. If anyone has looked at me close enough, you'll see that that's there. Because I was young, working on a Jeep. Jag myself right here. Whoop. Stitches on the inside, stitches on the outside. Broke my nose, so my nose is crooked. And when you got a nose the size of mine, you don't want it crooked. It's already big enough. You know what I mean? I feel bad for my kid. He's got my nose. It's like, I got Dad's nose. Sorry, buddy. You know, that's just the bane of your existence. So, you want to make sure, A, your fitting is on it first. We've all done that. I've done it. You've done it. This right here is your standard cheapo kit you get from, you know, Amazon, eBay, that kind of thing. So you got your, this is a flaring block, okay? And it's labeled right across 3/16, quarter, 5/16, 3/8, half. They obviously make these bigger. They make them, you can buy super elaborate. They are processed where you pull it and then you spin it and pull it. If you watch anybody who has cool tools, like say Mortsky, right? So Mortsky seems to have every tool on the planet. Like that guy really, he's good about like having the right tool for the job, and that's cool. I can't afford that, but so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our fitting on first. And then you're gonna push it up through the flaring block, and you say, well, Dave, how far do I put it in the flaring block? Okay, hold on, sassy pants. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna find your 3/16 flaring block, right? Because we're gonna put 2 flares on this. We're gonna flare it once with the flaring block, and then we're gonna flare it again with this end of the flare, okay? So what you wanna do is, these are like this for a reason. The height of this is how much you need sticking out of the block, okay? So you're gonna make sure you can move this down, okay? And then you're gonna measure with this, and you're gonna say, it's gotta go higher or lower, right? So you go a little bit higher, a little bit lower, whatever, and then you put it back on. And you wanna get this so these two are level, right? So they're level, which is pretty close right there. Give it a little pull down, but you guys see what I'm talking about, right? So you get it like that. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna lock it down, right? And you wanna lock it down in the block as tight as it goes, right? You don't want it pushing the tubing through. Then you're gonna take your piece here and you're gonna flip it over. And this is gonna go inside the tubing. And if you had swedged it properly, it's gonna go sit in there like that. Now, I can tell you from experience, when you go to flare this, sometimes they do a little, a little kind of sideways thing. Don't panic, it's okay. I have never had a flare leak on a brake line doing it this way. So you wheel out your bargain flaring unit, and slide her over, and then you put her up, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna drive the tip of this into this block, and this is and you're gonna go all the way. You want all the steam, right? Because you want to drive it all the way down till this thing bottoms out. Ugh. See? Like this. Can you guys see that? I can't see nothing. So you're gonna go all the way so it's bottomed out. Okay? Okay, at this point you're not done. Okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna back your flare out, and this is the pain in the ass part, dependent upon how collapsed in this is. I always have a pair of the old VGs next to me, right? Locking pliers. And you don't gotta mar up the thing. Honestly, guys, don't do like me. Sometimes I get a little overzealous and I'm like, clamp it on! It messes it all up. So just lightly, and then just twist. And that's gonna pull you out. Okay, this is what you're left with, like that. At this point, you're gonna do the second flare. That's why it's called the double flare. So you're gonna use this end, the pointy end, and you're gonna drive her home, okay? So you're gonna bring it all the way back down, right? Now, this is a feel thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a feel thing, right? You're gonna send it down. Now, I'm a pretty big guy, right? You guys are all, everyone's got strong mechanic hands. If you crush this, you're gonna split that tubing. Now, I'm used to working with a lot of copper tubing, so it's soft. So, that's it. You wanna use Swedish torque specs on this, right? Good and tight. Too tight is broken, right? So you're gonna wheel her back, right? And then you're gonna look at what you made. And this is what you've made. So now you're going to loosen your clamp or clamp back up. Both sides, don't be lazy. It's not going to come off. And then you're going to weasel this through. And this is what you have right there. See? So basically, you got 2 flares. That's why it's called a double flare. So now this should fit in because your device, meaning your wheel cylinder, this block, has an internal flare that this is going to meet. Right? So now, we're going to do the other side. I'm showing you this because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you already know this, and a lot of the time you get a car that's heavily supported in the aftermarket, you can get a full set of pre-bent stainless steel brake lines. If you can afford to do that, I would say absolutely, how much is your time worth? But I already have all this stuff, and I don't mind doing this. This is kind of therapeutic. So we're gonna move you. You're coming back over here. Get over here, I said. Come with me. So we're here. We're back in here, right? So, start 1. Get kind of where you need to go. Is this the wrong way? Probably. What happens? Get lost. Talking to the camera all the time. Stop talking to the camera so much. I had a guy say that to me. He goes, "You talk too much when you do videos." I do. Well, I thought that's, you know, people want to hear what's going on. No, you talk too much. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll try to work on that, Chief. I'll work on it. Now this is the wrong angle, isn't it? So now, we gotta bring her back down. Bring her back down. Let me give her a pushy push. She's going in. Right? So like I said, not a show car. So let's try to pretty it up a little bit. So we're gonna come up like this. Straighten it out. What you guys want to do is, you don't want a ton of tension on your brake lines when you're tightening them. You should just be able to go finger tight till it's just about sent home, right? You know, something equally important that everyone forgets to do, get a flare nut wrench, right? This is a cheapo Power Torque. Probably from like AutoZone. And this is another situation where you need to tight enough, but use discretion, right? Now, you can always tighten them more, but you can't unstrip them. So relax. Don't go crazy. In this situation here, the axle is in the way, so this goes right out the window. Can't use it because it's hitting the axle. So we are going to switch over to the Jaeger Ratcheting Wrench 2000s. I really like these things. Obviously, that portion of it is not useful, the ratcheting portion here. But again, you will strip the nut, right? Easy. And then you can square it up, right? Square it up. And there's one done. Right? That's it. And then we're going to get up in here with this hog and we're going to zip her in. Give her the old zippy zip. Boom. All right. Now we're going to make the long daddy. The daddy long leg next. You guys don't need to see me do this other brake line. I'm just gonna knock it out and then we're going to the front. All right, guys, end result. Hey, hey, let's periscope up. What's doing in here? Okay. The giant hole there. So anyway, pretty decent, okay job, I guess. Because what's important? What's important is it's going to hold fluid and it's going to stop. So now we're going to work from here to where the master cylinder is. But like I said, this is a 50 shoebox, and I didn't find a good listing for part numbers for wheel seals. So this is a national oil seal part number. Let's see if we can get this in here. 440265. It does fit properly, so if that helps anybody out. So what we're doing on the front, basically same procedure, right? Springs, boing, pop the retainers, same self adjuster, or in this case adjuster. And I got a new wheel cylinder, I got a new hose. We're gonna see if we can, man, that's really bad up there. We're gonna try to salvage this block. Alright guys, so passenger side front is done. There's no sense showing you that, same as the driver's side. Alright, so what I did was I took clutch and the brake, I hit him on the wire wheel. We're not getting fancy. Little with the, I don't know what that thing was. Rust-Oleum black. It was like rust tough or something like that. I don't know how tough it is. much better. We got to sweep again. Train wreck. So I'm going to knock these lines out, and then we're going to fill her up with fluid, bleed it out. And I bought some wheels yesterday. Some factory, they were like 53 mainline wheels, but they should fit. The tires are it's dangerously scary. But I'm going to order tires, and that way I feel like if I could move this thing in and out under its own power, I would be a lot more motivated to get a lot more done. Because then I would have at least this garage space back to do other things that I need to get done. I think we've talked about that. So I'm going to bang out some lines, and I'm coming back to you. All right, bye. All right, guys, brake lines are done. I tried to run them through like they were, right? So the front came through the bracket, bent it over. This one was supposed to come up over the floor, go back down. So it does do that. Runs along the frame, goes up through, and then underneath comes up through, and then goes to that in the front, or in the rear hose. Now, the front was a little different because the front came up through the rear of the cradle under the oil pan, and all the hardware stripped. So instead of doing that, here's what I did. So you come in, sorry for the light, this is from the master cylinder, and then it comes out of this, and instead of going behind, I went in front. Kind of like a normal vehicle. Let's get the old Harbor Freight Creeper that I already broke. So this is what I did. I came across, I pinned it to the front of it, went up through to here. But that should work, right? That'll be fine. So now what we're gonna do is my son was going to help me bleed this, and he's gone to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go beg Jess to bleed brakes, and she hates doing that. So let's go see if we can get her. Here's Jess, willing and able to help us bleed brakes. I made you a throne. How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Looks dangerous.
Don't shift around too much, you're gonna fall through the floor. Can you climb up and in? You can step on the rocker. You know, because I'm pretty. I want your head. Don't bang your beautiful head. Oh yeah, you fit mint. You were made for this car. You may not even be close enough, are you? Because you got tiny little legs. Yeah, you can press that, right? The problem is, no, that's a clutch.
What are you doing?
Okay. You've three-pedaled it before. It has to come back on its, you see, you have to pull it back with your foot.
I can do that.
Yeah, you have to pull it all the way back. Okay, do you want to film this from your angle? And you're going to pump 3 times. Ready? Pump 3 times, and I'm going to go to the furthest one. You got to pull all the way back up. It'll start returning on its own. And you're going to obviously hold it down like you normally do. And you're going to tell me when.
Okay, do you want me to pull it back and then do a 4th pump and hold it?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. Holding it.
Okay. Go again.
This video is super shaky.
Oh, I already got fluid. Go ahead, go again. All right, we are getting ready. All right, so you're gonna pump it up. I'm gonna go to the far front corner. Can you hear it make a noise?
Yep.
Can you feel any pedal at all yet?
Yeah, it's harder to push. I'm holding it down.
Okay, hold on. This one's like impossible to get at.
Oh, went down.
Yep, go again.
Okay.
Go again. There's a shit ton of air in it.
It's getting harder to push. I can't even go to the floor now.
That's okay.
I can't go to the floor.
You're fine. Just hold on to it.
I am.
Okay, go again. One more.
Okay.
Okay, that's straight fluid. That's good. Is it empty? Oh boy. No, it's not empty. It's close though. Whoa, yeah. Oh, that's a little too much. She's a little full. That's okay. I'll just run down the side and we're gonna have to spray this whole thing off anyway. Oh my God, it's all over the place. Oh, whatever. All right, we are going one more time. Humber up.
I lost track of how many that was, but okay.
Hold on, let me get the wrench on it. I can't even get the wrench on it. Oh my God.
There it goes.
Okay, go again.
Okay.
No, it's just fluid now, so hold it. Just hold it.
Okay.
Don't you give up on me. All right, on a scale of you're gonna die to she stops on a dime, what do you think? Like if you had to guess. I mean, from your throne.
That feels good.
Yeah? What do we got for movement? Go ahead. Pull it all the way back with your foot, because you're gonna have a brake spring. See, yeah, the spring's gonna pull it back that far. Yeah, but that's good.
Yeah, that's as far as I can push it.
Okay. Look. Thank you for your assistance. Everyone loves to see you. Thanks for coming out. Can you get out of here without falling down? Hold on, I'm going to record that. All right, now get out. So you can step on the rocker.
Yeah, I just don't want the tires to go up from
Do a dismount. Do a triple gainer.
That was very anticlimactic.
It was, so you didn't fall down. All right. Let's all thank Mad Ginger Jess for coming in today. You did a great job at work. We appreciate everything you do for us. And let's go have some lunch.
I'm out.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Mad Ginger Customs. Please like and subscribe. And all of the parts that I used will have links in the description. So if you guys that are doing the same thing, it fits almost all the shoe boxes. The brake shoes, the hoses, the wheel seals, wheel cylinders, all that. I'm going to have links for all that stuff. It'll be easy to get. I'll put the link for the master cylinder from Shoebox Central. Moving forward, this thing needs water pumps. So the water pumps leak, but I grabbed some wheels from a guy yesterday. So they're period correct. They're off as 53. The tires are super dangerous, like really bad. So I'm gonna order some tires for it. She's got a good firm pedal now. I have no doubt this thing's gonna stop. You know, should we have put new drums on it and stuff? Yeah, but I couldn't even get new drums. I wouldn't even know where to get them. And they were pretty bad. I didn't want to cut them. So we sanded them down. So I'm showing what you guys can do on the cheap. I think I'm into all the brakes for a couple $100. Wheel cylinders were, I don't think, any more than $9 a piece. The bigger ticket item was the master cylinder, but you're kind of at the mercy of what's available. I believe it's a Raybestos master cylinder. It is from Shoebox Central. Shoebox Central sells good quality stuff. Comes with the bushing in it. It comes with the fittings that you need. So we'll take one last look at it. It's on the ground. now we can put this floor in. We're gonna cut that toe board across. We're gonna get this floor. We're gonna clean all this up. And then we are going to use the Sweet Patina Blackout on it. And you'll see just as well as I'll see how good that stuff looks. So thanks for coming along. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.